All right, Blaine, so I know anyone who's read the title of this announcement episode is just going to be dying for us to get into the details. So let's do that. GrazeCart, the software company that we originally engineered for Seven Sons and started licensing to other farms, has been acquired by a specialty retail point of sale software company. They serve specialty retail industries. And in this episode, we're just going to lay out all the details, talk about what led to this decision for us, introduce who is POS Nation. Blaine, I actually had an interview with Spence, the product VP manager over at POS Nation, so you guys can get introduced to their team. But we're also going to talk about what does our involvement look like going forward and what you can expect in the near future. So, Blaine, let's just start unpacking it with the very beginning, kind of what led us down this path to make this decision in the first place. I know this is bittersweet for me, and I know it is for both of us. The sweet part is obviously that for anyone who builds a business that becomes an asset that's valuable to somebody else, that's a milestone. But the bitter part is that we never started GrazeCart with the intentions to exit and sell in the first place. Really the humble beginnings were just about trying to subsidize and cover some of all this technology costs that we had for Seven Sons in the early days of our business, because that was a lot to swallow.
I mean, Brooks, we went from the mindset of GrazeCart is never anything that we would consider selling to making the decision to sell just like that. Not only were it wasn't something we were on the fence about. We knew in our minds that GrazeCart would be our business indefinitely. And
and when things are going well, which things were going well, the hard part too is that it's not like we ran out of good ideas or lost vision for what the future could be like for GrazeCart. Quite the contrary. So that made it tough too. But why don't we just kind of volley this back and forth for a little bit, and you just start by kind of sharing a little bit of what are some of the major factors for you. I know we ended up getting consensus on this, but then it happened right away. And for some partners, that never ends up happening. So let's share some of the factors that kind of led to going down this path in the first place.
Yeah, well, I knew you were going to ask me this on this episode, and I started coming up with a list of, 5 different reasons, or, prioritize 1 through 5, what led to this decision. But all of those reasons led back to one ultimate reason, that we knew this was the time for us to make a change. And ultimately, Brooks, both of us became very convinced and compelled that we were ready to buy back our time so that both you and I could be solely focused on one business, one mission that we have here at Seven Sons Farms. And we've got some exciting ideas moving forward with Seven Sons, and we wanted our full bandwidth and focus to do that. We've talked about this for a long time, that the concept of focus, and when you try to chase 2 rabbits, you catch neither. And we found ourselves actually at that predicament with 2 great opportunities with GrazeCart and Seven Sons. And we knew that both needed more of our time and focus.
Yeah, so essentially we're putting a bet on focus. It's been really cool to see the impact that's been able to happen over the years for just the amount of farms that we serve today, and some really cool people that we've worked with through GrazeCart. But also equally, Seven Sons, and just continuing to grow Farm to Fork brand of our own, and the incredible team that we now have established over there. And that made this a tough decision, but ultimately we knew that one thing that we did want was focus.
It was tough because of the relationships, Brooks, that we have with our clients and that we've built over the years. That made the decision very tough, but it was also a decision that we were kind of at a juncture that I didn't anticipate, meaning we had 2 businesses that were growing at a very fast pace and 2 great opportunities. But inside we knew that unless we decided to focus, neither one would become what they ultimately could be, what they had the potential to become. So,
yeah, and one thing that's gave me more peace is that really the timing did feel right, because of GrazeCart's a young business in size when it comes to just the size of a software company that it is, the size of the team that it is. But one thing that's neat is just how mature though the product is for the size the company is. So with the last 7 years, plus that when we were developing the software just for ourselves before we started licensing it, we had to build a world-class product because we're using it as well. So that's where all of the resources have gone over the years, is just developing that platform. Today we have a fully integrated website, into the platform that has SEO optimizations, and none of our other direct competitors can offer something like that. And the e-commerce side, we're serving anyone who wants to sell direct consumer via point pickup locations and metropolitan buying clubs. If you want to expand into shipping, there's a lot of sophisticated tools for that. Same thing when it comes to subscription management. There's stuff for pre-orders in there. So we really feel like that the product, we're happy with where it's at. Of course, software can always be improved. But the thing that we feel like that we've done, I don't know, maybe the word isn't poorly, but just haven't leaned into the opportunity of just taking the product to market and getting it in front of more farms. That's an area where we really feel like, especially with how much the farm to fork world has evolved and how many, when you think about, there's 450 clients that we serve through the platform today, which is great. We work with some really good people and some well-established people. I think the average revenue for anyone on GrazeCart is well over six figures, which is something that's cool to see and it's something we're proud of. But that's such a tiny fraction when you look at how big this market now we're realizing is, how many farms are wanting to climb the value chain, sell direct to consumer. I know Brent Moore, who handles all of our demos and sales calls all the time. We were talking the other day about just how sometimes you end up when someone learns about GrazeCart and you're doing a demo and they show up to the call where they're just fatigued, ready to pull their hair out because they've already tried two or three other e-commerce platforms and they're just at their wits' end and they're kicking themselves and sometimes upset at us of like, how did I not know that you guys existed in the first place? And this is something that I'm really excited about. We're going to talk more about POS Nation here, but I'm really excited to see that the resources, the team, and just the experience that POS Nation can bring to the table, just to really help GrazeCart get in front of more farms and in front of this industry.
Yeah, it was a awesome tool that was being underutilized from just the industry and the market standpoint, and we knew that to take it to the next level, it would require a lot of focus.
Yeah, yep. Well, unless you have anything else to share, we can go to that clip here of Spence from POS Nation, introduce you guys to the conversation that we had the other day, just about what they're excited about with GrazeCart in the future. So let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Yep.
All right. Hey, Spence. Well, thanks for joining me for a quick call to help introduce our community to POS Nation.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Thanks, Brooks.
Cool. Yeah, well, hey, anyone listening to this call is obviously going to be learning about POS Nation for the first time. So could you just take a few minutes to explain from your perspective a little bit about the company, some background, and just like you were explaining it to somebody over dinner for the first time?
Yeah, absolutely. So, POS Nation, contrary to what you might think, point of sale systems is what we do. We service small to medium sized retail businesses. We do all-in-one point of sale solutions. We serve a lot of different niche markets. We try to get really specialized. We have different brands that we serve. We started out the company probably about 20 years ago, maybe even more at this point. I've been here a long time myself. Started out as a reseller of kind of general retail POS software. It was, locally installed Windows PC type stuff back then. POS Nation was one of the first, if not the first, to start selling point of sale systems online and gained a lot of traction, grew very fast. Eventually, we acquired our own software called CAP Retail Software. And then from there, partnered with Quilt, which was a bigger software company that kind of took a bunch of smaller players in the industry and that had specializations and started, putting together this larger company. So we had a great sales and marketing team. So they tucked in a lot of really cool brands of POS software underneath us. And from that point on, this is kind of where we ended up is partnering with different brands like GrazeCart and several others that have a really good place in the market and carved out a cool spot in the industry. And our sales and support tech team, onboarding team, marketing team is able to serve all these different brands.
Yeah, it's been really interesting just for me to kind of just see I don't know, the different industries that you guys obviously touch, and the complexity behind that, but also just the organization that you guys have to be able to serve those industries well. So can maybe kind of give some examples, to anyone listening, just all like what are the different industries and maybe products that you guys have that's kind of just collected under the brand at this point?
Yeah. So, a couple examples. Market POS and IT Retail. These are two brands we have in the grocery industry. Bottle POS is for liquor stores. Sell Smart is cell phone repair. Comcash for retail. Cigar POS, obviously for the tobacco industry. C-Store POS for convenience. And now we've got GrazeCart.
Cool. Cool. Well, and I think we kind of skipped over it, but what could you maybe share a little bit about what exactly your role looks like then? I'm sure that's evolved over the years. You said you've been there for a while now, so just kind of how that's evolved and what do you enjoy most about what you do and working with, these different industries?
Yeah, sure. I started out in sales. So I came in as a sales rep, and the company was pretty small at the time. So this was about 15 years ago, probably around somewhere between 10 to 15 total employees at that point. Um, we, again, we were being a reseller, but we were growing. Things were going good. I moved into, after a few years, moved into a sales manager role. A few years after that, I was able to become a minority owner in the company. So, I bought in
Yep.
a small share. And then from that point, once Quilt took over, um, I became kind of like they changed the titles from managers to VP. So I became the VP of sales. And then last year, there was an opportunity to move into the product role. So I had all this experience talking to customers directly in all these different industries that we worked with. And it seemed to be a natural transition for me to move into product. I was always more of a technical sales guy. Really diving into the product was the reason I was good at sales, is because I
Hmm.
really understood the features and the customers, um, how they were going to use it and be able to problem solve in that way. So it was a good transition for me. So over the past year, I've been in the VP of sales role, and it's been really exciting to get to work with what we call vertical leaders in the industry. So every brand we have, we kind of bring over the owner operator from that brand. So these are guys who either had their own stores, their own grocery stores, or their own markets, or their own liquor stores, and just know the industry in and out. So I get to work with these guys on a daily basis and help come up with new features, serving our customers, being the voice of the customer, which is really huge for us. But it's just been nothing but fun so far to be able to do this with all these different brands.
Yeah, I bet that's pretty unique and cool to be in that role for just different industries and kind of see where the similarities are, and then where the differences are. That, obviously allows you to create, because there's a lot of opportunity that can get created or impact that can get created with purpose-built software. But also you don't want to have to reinvent the wheel more than you have to. So that kind of brings me to my next question, which I think you can add a good perspective and is an area I think anyone listening to this call is going to be the most intrigued by is like, what are the synergies and opportunities from your perspective that you feel like POS Nation can infuse into a new company like GrazeCart, or any company that you guys, would acquire and bring into the brand of families that you work with. So like, what's that overlap that you feel like you guys typically bring to the table?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are similarities that we're looking for. We're not going to pull in just any random industry. Like, there are certain things that just wouldn't fit with what we're already doing. We're really looking for a business workflow overlap. You'll notice a lot of our industries that we work with, they all deal with fast checkout, fast transaction, fast and easy. That's
Yep.
a big point for us. A large number of inventory items. So inventory control is something that's really important across the board with um, a lot of our customer base. Really detailed reporting. That's another thing that's really crucial across all the platforms. The owner personas is another one that is really interesting. Like a lot of the different industries we work in have a similar type of owner, sort of like that smart blue collar type of persona. And then industry overlap, obviously huge. Like I'd mentioned that we have grocery GrazeCart obviously is an e-commerce site that does weighed items, meats,
Yep.
things like that, farm to consumer. So that overlap right there, when we saw GrazeCart, we're like, ding, ding, ding. That is a huge, obviously, synergy with our grocery platform that's brick and mortar.
What do you feel like that, the end customer, or even just from a growth perspective, but like the benefits that you guys feel like you're able to kind of, quickly be able to infuse, or like even just some of the stuff I'm sure you've already got gears turning in your mind about like what are some opportunities for, the future of GrazeCart, that you've seen so far that just are on your radar that you get excited about.
What I'm really excited about for the future of GrazeCart, this is actually in the very near future. We're going to start working on this. We've already kind of mapped it out and how we want this to work, but we want to do an integration. We want the GrazeCart product and our grocery product, IT retail, market POS brands. We want to see a two-way integration there. We've on our grocery platform, we've done a lot of one-way integrations. There's e-commerce solutions out there, Local Express, Instacart, stuff like that. So we've connected with those guys, but kind of in a one-way style where we send the data over to them and they handle the ordering. But with GrazeCart, we now have our first e-commerce platform in-house. This is really exciting for us because pretty much everything we've ever done so far has been brick and mortar focused, and this is now the online side of things, and we're getting to see it from the other side. That used to be the other guys, now it's us, and we want to connect that in. So we're looking for that two-way, seamless integration between our grocery and market software for the store, and then what's happening online with GrazeCart. Um, Also, we're looking at we've got a pipeline of great ideas. Our vertical leader that we brought over, Brent Moore, from the GrazeCart team, he's got a ton of great ideas for enhancing the software, improving the UI, things like that. That we are excited to get pushed out. And then also already mentioned this, we prioritize customer feedback. So really excited about digging
Yep.
in to see what the customers are saying as far as improving, usability, onboarding improvements, anything like that that we can do to make it better. So we're going to prioritize user feedback heavily.
Yeah, cool. Well, I can see how that, your guys' position becomes that much more important to solicit as much feedback as you can when you're trying to learn from these different industries. But yeah, what you just had to mention about even early on and a piece of this that I know when talking to Brent, we've all been excited about on the upfront as we had some early conversations was your guys' point of sale focus and how that can obviously bring a huge value piece to the table for GrazeCart. We've just started doing some stuff in the PS world, but still feels like that's a gap of what we do, but is a really important gap to get filled in this industry. Most farms, when they get started selling direct to consumer, they start by the in-person transaction piece. So I think that's a lot of experience and insight that you guys can obviously infuse in the near future. And anyone who knows, you spoke about how you guys have some one-way integrations with some other e-commerce players out there, but anyone who's ever tried, point of sale and e-commerce integrations out there before, sometimes they come out with battle scars because it's tough to get that right, to get it to be two-way, to get the inventory to work the right way. And, you're just mentioning, the experience that you guys have and basically all the companies that you work with have a deep inventory management component to it that I'm sure gets uniquely complex in every industry that you work with. So I'm excited to see how that integration turns out and obviously get the feedback from our clients because it's been probably one of the top feature requests or feedback that we've gotten to improve the product into the future. So anything else? It's just as far as final comments that you would like to share for our community about the future and what you're excited about.
Yeah, sure. This is the product VP speaking, but bringing in the GrazeCart team, you guys were one of the smaller brands that we had brought in, or smaller teams, I should say, in size, but you've had the best processes of any company that we brought over. So what I can say is that we're really excited to bring over a class act team of people. The processes you guys have from the product side, from what I've seen, from the product itself, everything is just top notch. And this is huge for us because, sometimes we'll bring in guys and it's like, what, what's not there to fix, like when we're trying to put stuff together. But with you guys, it's like, all right, we can take some of this and bring these what you guys have put together over to some of our other teams, some of the processes you have in place. They're really excited about bringing you guys on board and having such a great team and great processes to bring over, and not having to do a lot of cleanup is really refreshing there. um, and just the possibilities are endless for what we can do with the GrazeCart team, with the GrazeCart platform. So we're just really excited about what we're going to get done this year.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we're equally excited about the opportunities moving forward. The that's probably a piece of something that both Blaine and I have been really proud of this journey of obviously building the platform. Is it's been a lot of work, but it's been cool to see what's um, been possible on a bootstrap budget and what's a such a small team of really talented people to get it to where it is today. And I think that should be exciting to anyone who's listening, just to know that, hey, there's a quicker runway here for you guys to come in and add your expertise and synergies that you're able to infuse quicker than normal, just because of what that current team's been able to get in place. But we're equally excited then about the future when it comes to POS Nation now being involved, and what the additional resources and experience that obviously you guys bring to the table and what's possible for the future. So um, that's all I think I need from you up front. I know we might do one of these perhaps down the road, 6 or 9 months from now. I think that would be fun too, just to do a little recap of everything that's new once we're talking in the present state as well. But really appreciate you taking the time to just join me on a call real quick and introduce a little bit more about what you guys do with the community.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Yeah. Again, just thank you guys so much for all the work you put in on the front end, and we're excited to be able to support it on the back end.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yep. Well, we're excited to see just what's possible with the future for serving the farm to fork industry better. So thanks again for joining.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Blaine. One thing I don't feel like Spence and I really got to talk to too deeply about on that call was just the support, experience, and capabilities and resources that POS Nation brings to the table that I think GrazeCart and our clients are really going to benefit from. They've got a customer success team that I know they're implementing with GrazeCart right now as we speak, who their sole role and responsibility is to just get connected with somebody new who's using GrazeCart for the first time, to help them really get through the implementation side of it, which, if you remember, think back to your early GrazeCart days, if you're a client listening to this, it's a lot of work to set up an e-commerce system, get migrated from one tool to the other. And that team's going to be there to, just help through and guide through that process, point you in the right direction and connect you to the right people just to help you get started on a stronger foundation. And then they're also the tech support side when it comes to once you're started and you're established and you've got questions in the platform down the road. They've got a team on the East Coast. They've also got a team on the West Coast. So it's just going to expand our availability to offer a wider support window, especially for our friends who are on the West Coast, to be more responsive, and phone support as well.
Yeah, I was going to say phone support.
Yeah,
we've always had such a lean team.
Yep.
We've never went that direction.
Yeah.
But that's just something with a bigger team they can do now.
Yep. So that's something that's going to get rolled out here shortly, if not by the time that you're watching this episode. So that's neat, and something that I know that they can really infuse, especially to, I'm sure, a lot of the brands that they have under their umbrella, but for sure GrazeCart, just with, contrasting to how small the team was before. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Well, Brooks, I'm sure everyone's thinking and wondering, what's our involvement from here between you and I with GrazeCart moving forward?
Yeah, so this is one area that I feel like is actually unique and interesting, because it doesn't always happen that through an acquisition that the people coming in even want the founders around and involved, let alone keep the product going. That's something I think that's worth highlighting and calling out here. I don't know if you remember Wunderlist, the dude tracking app from like 7 or 8 years ago, or if anyone listening remembers Wunderlist, but that was my favorite to-do app.
Yeah.
And they got bought out by Microsoft, and eventually they closed it down because Microsoft had another product. And I still don't have a good to-do list app since that time. So obviously it's cool to see that, we found found a partner here who's passionate about continuing the vision of serving the farm to fork industry and serving that better and getting it in front of more people. But also that, they're very interested to, have our involvement to whatever, availability, and for as long as that we're willing to, stay and be involved. So just to kind of list off, I'm going to be involved from a, fractional consulting basis for the next 12 months. So we'll start there. And Brent Moore, many of you guys are familiar with, who we hired him in 2022 to come in as CEO to take over responsibilities for me. And he's just been an awesome fit. If you've connected to Brent, I'm sure you share that sentiment. He came from a bison ranching experience growing up, had his own tech company that, he had a lot of experience growing, and got back into retailing bison actually through COVID in 2020. And so he's a GrazeCart user today. So he's going to be involved with POS Nation, leading GrazeCart and helping their management team, again, take things to the next level. And so I'm going to be around, for consulting, be available for Brent, be available for their management, and really just help provide historical context to GrazeCart when it's needed, but also just give our outlook into, new improvements and products and just, new opportunities that we see down the road.
Yeah, for such a lean team that we had at GrazeCart, it's really neat to see how this transition is taking place, seeing Brent continue on at the helm, and I'm excited. So.
And this podcast is going to continue. So Food Chain Wars, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. So we're going to continue doing this as well. So I'm excited about that. And who knows, what, we also talked about how, we're obviously leaning into decision to lean into focus, but also, we've always been passionate about the consulting and coaching work that we've done in the past. So I'm excited to see what that could, promises, but what that could look like in the future as well. But it'll at least start here with the podcast continuing on and us trying to get, obviously sharing our experience with Seven Sons like we always have, but try to get other industry experts on here as well. And get other clients, GrazeCart clients who are seeing a lot of success on here, so you can hear from more stories of not just ours and perspectives to, maybe people who've gone through this direct marketing world and journey a little bit different than us. So we're not going anywhere from a standpoint of what you're used to hearing on this show. So that's all going to continue.
Yeah. One other comment I want to bring up about your interview with Spence there, Brooks, and I don't want to gloss over this. The fact that POS Nation wants to build and plans to build right out of the gate such a strong integration with their point of sale technology. That is very difficult for a small tech company to try to handle both e-commerce and a point of sale, that multi-channel experience. And so that means GrazeCart will have not only a content platform to build your website, not only an e-commerce platform for one-off ordering, but we have subscriptions, and now not a light POS integration. We're talking about an advanced two-way integration. That is very valuable and unique.
No, that's a really good point, because we you might know, if you're watching this, you've been using GrazeCart, started dabbling in point of sale last year, and that's kind of how we got our feet wet and building just an initial solution. And that really opened up our eyes just to how much of a whole nother product this is, as far as if you want this to work really, really well at scale, there's just a lot more that needs to happen. So obviously, with their experience with the companies that they have, they're going to bridge that point of sale puzzle piece here, which is it's a tough problem to solve. Even the major retailers after COVID, like Kroger and all the big guys, they were trying to figure out, how do we solve this whole omni-channel thing as more people started moving online. So that's an important piece, because a lot of farms, Blaine, I think, get started in direct marketing at the farmer's market. So that's the first sales channel, and it's really hard to make that graduation into e-commerce if you also, without saying goodbye to the farmers markets at the same time. So there's always that overlap period, and it might always be that way. So that's an important piece to get solved.
What else would it be helpful for folks to know that are listening as far as anything moving forward? We didn't get deep into it in the call with Spence either, but I know that POS Nation, just with the umbrella they have of companies, they do a lot in the world of payments, which is really cool to see. So I know there will be some changes coming soon on the payment side of things. So, be looking for those types of announcements coming in the near future, because we've been working on that stuff, prior to even recording this for some time now. But that's really it. I think I'd just encourage you to share in the excitement for the future about, what are the opportunities here that we feel like, POS Nation is just positioned really well to bring to the table. But also, to offer patience. Any transition like this is there's a lot of things that need unhooked over here and plugged in somewhere else. So if
if we're doing the best we can to make sure we do that in a way that's you're not going to feel anything. But if we miss the drop the ball here and there, that might happen. So be patient through a transition like this. There's just a lot of moving parts that need to happen, and things need to settle down.
One of the principles that Joel Salatin always talks about is for there to be any improvement, there has to be a period of disruption. And for sure, POS Nation offers so many synergies moving forward. But there will be transitions involved with this.
Yep.
And we appreciate your patience, but also just the excitement about what GrazeCart can become for this entire industry and the impact that it can make with this type of focus and these types of pretty serious resources behind GrazeCart now.
Yep. So obviously we're super proud of the support that we've had from you. If you're listening, if you've been using GrazeCart for a long time, we're equally excited about the future of what's to come. And we're excited to share that with you. So again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the show so you can continue, because you can consider this the first episode of a kickoff of a new season. So there'll be more coming soon.
Well, and two, Brooks, and what's going to be exciting about this podcast moving forward is we do plan with our newfound focus is to make some pretty serious evolutions with the Seven Sons business. We've got some big ideas there, and we'll look forward to sharing in those as we're executing those.
Absolutely.